Hey, this is Clint, and if you want to build a Power Automate using an AI model, which you want to use to scan documents and then compare that to, let's say, internal documents like an Excel spreadsheet, for example, that's got your item list, and you want to compare the quantities that you received from in this invoice, and you want to compare that to the quantities you expected to order, then I've got a video for you where we build a Power Automate that uses an AI model to scan your documents, and then we use a compare tool within Power Automate to compare it to our Excel data. So follow along with me in this and I'll show you exactly how I've done that. Hello all and welcome to this video. I want to show you something in Power Automate. So imagine we're in Power Automate here. Oh, my pen does not want to work proper. And we want to automate a flow that takes data from, let's say, a PDF. And these PDFs are invoices. And these invoices have they have rows of data. They've got an item, and then they've got the the item number. They've got the unit price. They've got a total amount, and they've got a PO number. What we want to do is use an AI model to scan this. So we're going to get an AI model, and we're going to build this in Power Apps, Power Automate. We're going to build this AI model to look at these invoices that we receive from customers, and then we're going to compare it. So we're going to do a comparison here to, let's just draw this in green maybe. We're going to draw an Excel file here. We've got this Excel file, and in this Excel file, we're going to have our product list. So we'll have like a table, and we'll have a whole lot of rows and stuff, and then we're going to have the item number here. We'll have the expected price, and we'll have expected quantity and something like that, right? So these are the we've ordered something from there, and then we'll have a PO number here as well. So let's imagine that we said, okay, for purchase order number 1, we expected 300 quantity of item number A100 or something, and we expected price was £5.50 or something, and we want to compare that to what the invoice actually was from the customer. And that's what we want to build in Power Automate. We want to do this automatically so that the AI builder can scan the document. So it's obviously going to scan this every time we pump it in. It's going to compare it to the Excel, and then it's going to give us another CSV output, which we can then use in Power BI if we wanted to. So imagine we had Power BI going here. I want to do it nice and yellow because that used to be the color of Power BI. And then you could hook up your Power BI report to this CSV file. And in this, in here, it'll list all the rows, and it'll say, either it's matched or it's not matched. If, for example, let's just say, it was item A100, and on the invoice here, the price was £5.60, or the quantity was 120, for example. This is make it the quantity was 120, but over here the quantity was expected 121, so that would be a mismatch. And we want to do this automatically so we don't have to eyeball it and look at every invoice that comes in. So we're going to use AI to scan it, then we're going to use it to compare in Power Automate, and then we're going to eventually spit out the results at the end of that. So let's get cracking and show you that. In Power Apps, you have this amazing thing called the AI Hub, and you can see that I've created myself a custom model right here. I called it Clint Invoice Processing. So what I wanted to do is, if we look at the actual invoice itself, now this is just sample invoices. I've got a sales invoice, I've got items, I've got a quantity, I've got a unit price, a shipping total, and I've also got a PO number over here. So what's important is we want to use the PO number. We want to compare items and see what this quantity is, and we're going to compare that to the quantities and items in this list. So we've got our products here, and we've got our expected quantities that we've ordered from this company, and we want to compare these expected quantities here to the quantities that we get in this sales invoice. So, and for that PO number, so for PO number 1, which is these rows here, we're expected to get these products, and we expected those quantities. So we're going to use Power Automate to do that. So I created my own AI model. I think you can do models in this way. I think you click on there. Can't remember exactly how I started it. Oh, this was it, yes. And we went to extract custom information from documents. Custom model, so I did that one. And then I made this model here. So let's have a look at this model. Show you exactly what I've done here. I'd have to unpublish it though to show you. There might be just doing that, and then I'll show you how we've built this model. So from the beginning, you have to have 5 invoices as a sample for it to train on. So get yourself ready with 5 different invoices from whatever example you're going to use, and it'll train on those 5 invoices to recognize all the fields and the tables within your invoices. So if we go to edit the model, you'll see that we will have all these fields, values that we were going to extract from this document. First of all, we've got tables. We can get tables out of the invoice, and we also can get field items. So for example, the shipping total and the PO number, whereas the table is that middle part. I want to show you that. So you'll get this here, and you have to go through 5 steps to do that. And I chose fixed template documents, and then you click on the next button. It'll ask you for those documents. It'll say, sorry, the first thing it will ask you is, what do you want to add? What do you want to get out of this? And you can see that you can choose tables, you can choose number fields, text fields, etc. I chose a table, and the table would be this bottom one down here. And I chose the 2 number fields, which are the shipping total and the PO number. So once you've added those and you said, okay, I want to get these certain things out, it'll ask you where are those things in the invoice. So the next thing is coming here. It'll ask you which documents do you want to scan, and I put 10 documents in, all different with different figures in them, so that the AI model could train. And then I tag the documents, right? So if you look at let's go collection number 2, you'll see that I just basically drew a little thing like that around there, and I said, what is that value that I'm looking for? And whenever you do something, for example, I'll show you, if I clicked on that, whatever's available still to tag would be over here, and then you would you would tag that, for example. I'll give an example. If I click on this one, and I think I can edit that. Oh, there you go. So it's no longer tagged. As you can see, PO number is no longer tagged. And what I can do then is sort of zoom into that, and then say this is the PO number that I want to tag. And then it's chosen. You can see it's ticked green over here. And you do that for all of your documents. You can see I did it for 5 different documents. Doing the table is a little bit different. You can edit here, and you can go, this column is my item, this column is my quantity, unit price, and amount. And then you can separate and just show where the rows are, and then it'll recognize the rows. And you can see a preview of your table on the right hand side here. So that's how it's going to recognize the items within your table and the quantities and the price. So do that with your invoices, tag it, get the right things out of your invoice that you need, and then when you get to the end, you're going to then train your model. So you can train it there. So I'm going to save and close. My model's been trained already, so then I'll just publish that. Publish that there. Then it's ready to use in your Power Automate flows. You have it, it's published, now we can use it. So let's go into our make dot Power Automate. Spelled it wrong, that's why it's not coming up. And then inside here we will look at a flow. I built already just so I can show you exactly what I did. Now it took me a little while to get all the different filtering correct, but the idea is that we want to just click on that one there, is we want to scan the document that we put in. So we'll start with a basic flow. This basic flow will be, it's triggered by you having to run it manually. But I did try and do one where an email comes in and it does it automatically, but I was having some difficulty. But this one starts off with a manual trigger, and the manual trigger could be what do you want file content, for example. Manually trigger a flow, and then you can add in, what do you want the user to input into this? Do you want the user to input a file, an email, a number, a date, for example. So I chose a file. Then once you choose a file, which would be your invoice, then you're going to process documents. Now to get to this, I'll show you how to do that. Just as an example, you've built your AI model in your Power Apps, in your make.powerapps.com. You've trained it, you've published it. So to find it, you can just do something like this: process documents. Just put that in your search bar like that. And you'll see that you got AI Builder and see more. You can see everything you can do with AI Builder. It comes out the box, with standard with your Power Automate. So what you want to do is go to process documents. This is automate the extraction of data from documents you regularly work with. Use the AI Builder document processing model, formerly known as AI Builder form processing. So if you click on that one, you'll see what's going to come up is the model that's been published, and you can see that I have published one model. And then you're going to put in here that it's a PDF document, and then you're going to process that form. So let's have a look at what I've done already. Delete that. You see that I have chosen the trigger from the previous action, the file content bytes. Then what we want to do is create an array from this list of this table in Excel. And it's in my OneDrive. It's called internal product data, and the table in Excel is called inv table, like that. You can see it there. So that's easy. That's just list rows in a table, and it's easy to do that. If you don't know how to do that, you just type in list rows like this. It should come up, and if you look at Excel Online, see more, you'll see these are all the actions you can do. List rows present in a table right there. And that'll list all the rows in your Excel table. Then you're going to initialize a variable. This is going to be your output ultimately at the end. We're going to make this, you can call it whatever you want. I call it table data, and it's a string. Then what we want to do, you could have had this pass higher up just after the AI. This is the most difficult part, by the way. You're going to have to find out what your schema looks like. The best way to do it is to run your run this flow once, just processing the document up to this point. So you just run these two, and you'll see you'll have an output from here, and you can look at that output. And if you're good at JSON, you can sort of figure out what that schema is. I use VS Code and sort of look at the hierarchy or the JSON tree to figure out what it looked like. I also used AI itself. I used Copilot to ask, and I pasted in this massive long output, and I said, please can you make me a simplified schema. Now the schema for mine looks a bit like this. It's got, what you're going to get out of this is a prediction output, because that's what the AI model does, and it's going to have some properties in there. First of all, it's going to have tables, and also it's going to have, if you look further down, labels. Okay, labels are the ones that we did later, like the PO number and the shipping total. Tables is that, remember I showed you earlier how you can make AI recognize the table. So then you'll have tables, and then I called it, that's the tag I called it when I was training the model. And within that we had items, so that's your first column. Sorry, not that one. Items is legitimately built in. Item, well, that could have been called product or product ID, and then amount, quantity, and I didn't tag unit price, interestingly. Although, no, maybe I did tag it, but it's not in my schema, my JSON schema. Nonetheless, you can always add that in. So you need to make sure you got a schema for that, because then you're going to use that later on. Then what I want to do is filter let's just say Excel's got like a load of different PO numbers. So if I want to pump in PO number, purchase order number 1, and I'm saying, okay, I've got the sales invoice, it's tagged with the purchase order number. I don't want to evaluate every single row in Excel. I only want to evaluate those rows in Excel against the AI model's output. Then you can use a filter array. And the filter array works like this. You're saying all the rows that come from Excel, all those list rows present in the table, I want to filter the item PO number from there, and I want it to equal the output from the AI prediction. And the AI prediction is obviously scanning your document. It's going to give you a response, and you can see it there. It says pass AI JSON, which is your passing the JSON with the schema, and the prediction output is the labels. Do you remember we had the PO number in the label? I'll show you that purchase order again. It's there. So that's the purchase order number we want to compare it against. And this is, remember, is your table, and these are your labels. And your shipping label is down there, and your purchase order label is over there. So that'll filter your Excel array to only look at these rows here, the first 4 rows. The compose I just put in there just to make sure that everything was working. You can use compose to help you make sure that you're getting the right output. After we filtered that Excel, and we didn't want to get every single row, we don't want it to evaluate every single row, then we say for each product, which in this case is each of these products, which will be these 4, do a loop, and once you're doing a loop on those products, those 4, so it'll go 4 times around here, then I want to also loop around what comes out of the AI model. So you've got a loop within a loop here. And I'm going to then look at the table within that prediction. So you remember, if you look at the schema, you'll see again that the table has got a quantity, amount, and item. And you're going to have 3 rows. If you remember correct, what it's going to do is it's going to have 3 enumerations, or whatever they call it, elements, I suppose you can call it, within the array. It's going to have 3 things out of this table, 3 rows out of this table. So the AI model is going to predict that this is a table because we told it it's a table, and it's going to have 3 enumerations, 3 rows within that array, 3 items in that array. So it'll be if you think about it, it'll be 4 loops here and then 1 loop there. 3 loops there. Then once we're inside, so we have to do all of our actions inside of the 2 loops. We want to, the composer, by the way, is just again for me to just sanity check what's going on. Then what we want to do is compare, right? Now this is where we're doing the compare part. So remember, if you remember the diagram, I'll just go back to that diagram quickly, just bring it in here for you, is that we want to compare, which is this part here in the middle of the screen. We want to scan the document, which we've done, and we've passed the JSON. Then we've listed all the rows in Excel here. Then we want to compare these rows. So item for item, do the quantities match? So remember that. We're saying, does the item name equal the item name in Excel? So remember, each product, you can see it there if I hover over it, each underscore product, which is from Excel, does it equal the applied to each is from the AI scan. You can call it whatever you want there. You could have said apply to each AI scan row or something like that. Does the item in there match the item in there? And also, does the quantity within the scanned AI document equal the quantity in the Excel document, expected quantity? And we'll go into there and I'll show you, we've got a column here called expected quantity. Then if it does, that'll come in the true part. Then you append. If it evaluates true and comes into the true branch, then what you want to do is append the data. And my append looks a little bit like this, a little bit messy. See if we can make it look neater. Maybe not. So we want to, I sliced it by 5 characters, the item number or the product ID, but you don't need to do that. So it's basically going to, the first part of that, because we want to make it a CSV, right? So the first column will be the item number. The second column will be your expected quantity from your Excel, and the third column will be the quantity that came in from the scanned AI document, and then it'll be a true match. So I'll just put the word true in there, because obviously it came in that these quantities matched, right? So you can see it equals to. On the other side is exactly the same, except it's not equals to. So in that case, the append string will look very much the same, except that over here you put a false. Okay, so there'll be, you'll have the expected quantity, the quantity, and the product, and then you'll say whether it's true or false. whether the quantities, if you can see here, quantity value matched. So the expected output is going to look a little bit like this. So this will be the expected output from the CSV. Oh, in fact, I've deleted all the rows, but what you'll see is the headers, and I'll show you. Well, there you can see it there, but it'll disappear. So the value is going to come in here. So you're going to have the item name. You're going to have the quantity expected in Excel. You're going to have the quantity that was on the PDF, and whether it was a match or not. So let's run this quickly. I think the last thing I want to show you is probably how you then get the file content from that CSV, which I'm hovering over here. You go and get the file content, then you append the data to that file, right? So you then, if you look at the output here, it's outputs, get file content, and then I'm going to concat whatever's in the file, existing rows. I'm going to concatenate the new table data there. So that's it in a nutshell. It took me a lot longer to build and explain that to you, of course. So let's run this. I could run it from there, or I could go back over here and run it, but we are not going. We're just going to test that, and I'll show you. We'll do a manual test. Save and test. I shouldn't have saved that. Sorry, I didn't make any changes, did I? So then it's once you can test it from here, and you can manually run it. So let's run PO number 1 from here, and let's open that and run the flow. So we've got our sales invoices in our SharePoint site and our OneDrive, whatever it is, and now we're going to run that flow. And you wait a second, you'll see the blue circle starting, and there it goes. It's going to loop. You can see 4 times because we knew there's 4 rows in Excel with PO number 1, and we know that there's 3 rows in the sales invoice, so it loops 3 times, and then it goes into the conditions. These are conditions, by the way. To get conditions, I didn't show you that, but you just type in condition in the search bar to add the condition here, and then it'll give you true and false afterwards. It's taking a bit longer than expected, but I think that is finished. So if we now go back to, I'm just going to close that just so it doesn't get confused, and we'll just refresh this. About a minute, so that updated 5:40 a.m. Pacific time. Wow. Pacific time. So click on that. Hopefully we've got some results here. There they are. So we've got 3 results, and let's look to see if we got it right. We've got a true match. We expected 50 quantity here, and we both got 50. Over here we expected 202 quantity, but we got 200 on the invoice, and here we got 100 and 100. So let's just verify that. So it's E1003 is a problem here, which is this row. So we're expecting 202. Let's look at the invoice. E1003, we only got 200 on the invoice. So we can see there's a mismatch there, and of course then you can start to use these results in Power BI or wherever else you want to use it. So having done that, let's go back to our model again. So imagine you're on the outside of this and you click on run. Again, let's run number 2, and let's have a look to see if we put invoice number 2 in and run that. I'll just talk you through that again. So let's click on that. It's busy running. I'll click on that, and then it's processing the document. Remember, this is our custom model, which is here in our AI builder, and I think you need some kind of license for this, so just be aware of that. You have an open draft for this model. Continue. I think we discard that draft. I don't think we need that. That should still be published, so we shouldn't have a problem there. You can see it's got a high degree of accuracy, and we're using that model in our Power Automate. So that's gone through again. This time it had 4 loops again. Reason being, we had 4 there. If we ran document number 3, we'll only get 2 loops. So let's just check that as well. Let's run 3 first, and then we'll check out our CSV to see how it's doing. So let's run invoice number 3. And run that, and it's running. See, it takes 32 seconds to run, which is very good. So it loops over all of that. I think it's quicker than what a human can do it, and it's a tedious job. So that's where you can apply this to some kind of scenario within your business. And even if it's just showing you one or two things that sort of highlighted how you can do stuff, then I'm glad to have helped. I didn't show you exactly how to train the model, or no, not train the model, sorry, to label your model, but I think I showed you enough for you to get by on how to label your AI model. So let's click on this one. We're expecting only 2 loops on each product. Let's have a look. Yep, 2 loops, there you go, 1 or 2. And here would be 3, because every invoice we have has got 3 rows for the table. So let's go now have a look at our compare results here. Remember, the compare results is the output from the flow. There you go. So we've got sales invoice 1, and we've got sales invoice 2, and we've got sales invoice 3. Interestingly, we've only getting 3 rows from each. That's because the invoice itself has only got 3 rows, but our internal document has 4 rows for each purchase order number. So basically, R5013 is not existing. Neither is PL212 existing in the invoices. So they don't exist in your compare results. You know, ultimately, we'd like to have those products listed here as like null. So in other words, you had like quantity expected, you know, a certain amount, like 1009, and then like 0 here. So that would have been a better outcome. But remember that also I want to show you that the output of the update file or the get contact file is that CSV, right? So it's easy to do that. If I just show you the edit button here. Not sure if I quite showed you that, but so you can see that I am getting the content from that file, and then I'm updating that file. So I just created a CSV, a blank CSV with the headers. That's all I did to when I started this flow, when I built this flow. So I just had a very blank CSV with just 5 rows. So there you go. It's working as expected. What else did I want to show you? I think that's it. I was going to just show you that these are all true for these rows in purchase order number 3, sales invoice. Let's just open that one quickly. Which one's this? Number 1. Let's open number 3 and just compare it, make sure that it's doing its job. So for F102 and 03, so these two, we have 54 quantity and a 204 quantity. And we don't expect actually to have ordered F1003. So an improvement to this flow could be that a result here could be something like maybe F1003. I can't actually edit it, but F1003 is there, and it might have said Excel, well, null in Excel, and sort of they've given us in the invoice, they've given us 204, but we didn't expect it. So that would have been probably a nice improvement to make on this. But you can see that it's given us the correct results here. Is it true or is it not? Is it a match or is it not a match? And that's based on the comparisons that it's doing in the if statements or the conditions that are right here. So now you've seen how to build your conditions to compare values. So we're comparing the Excel and we're comparing it to the AI scan. And I hope you've learned something today and how to process documents using the AI builder and how to then compare that to rows in Excel. Thanks for watching. My name's Clint. Subscribe and like. Thank you.